Dear students, in the previous class we have discussed about the loose connective tissue. Under loose connective tissue we have learnt about the adipose tissue as well as the areolar tissues. In this class let us start with the dense connective tissue. So, see, dear students, the dense connective tissue here is also referred to as dense fibrous tissue. Alright. So now, as we all know that dense tissues are containing the collagen fibers as their main elements. They have the collagen fibers as the main elements. Alright. I am talking here about the dense connective tissues. Under dense connective tissues, we could find the collagen fibers as the main elements which are present in their matrix. Alright. So this is the important point you need to consider. And furthermore, let me tell you, other than the collagen fibers, alright, we can also find the cells called as fibroblasts. These fibroblasts are arranged in rows. They are arranged in rows. Alright. And where we can find these fibroblasts between the collagen fibers. Okay. So let me show up the diagram how it actually looks like. See, first we need to know the types. Okay. Now let me tell you the first, that the dense connective tissues are classified on the basis of orientation of fibers. Orientation of fibers. See, orientation or how they are distributed. Based on the distribution of fibers, we can classify the dense connective tissues into actually two types. Alright. First is we have dense regular connective tissue. Alright, this is the first type. And secondly, we have dense irregular connective tissues. Alright, so let me tell you how the fibers are distributed. That is based on the orientation of fibers. Dense connective tissues are classified into two types. The first type is dense regular connective tissue and the second we have is dense irregular connective tissue. See, now when we consider dense regular connective tissues here, basically we can find as such. See, we have the inner now matrix is present. So here collagen fibers are distributed like this. Okay. So here we can find the fibroblasts, alright, distributed in the parallel rows of collagen fibers. Alright, as you can find here. Alright. So this is what we call dense regular connective tissues. Alright students. See, these are fibers and these are cells, fibroblast cells. Alright. So these fibroblast cells are arranged in the parallel rows of fibers. So if it is the case, we call this to as dense regular connective tissues. Alright. For the dense regular connective tissues, the examples we have are two. Okay. The first one is the tendons, alright, and the second one is the ligaments. Alright. So these two are regarded as the dense regular connective tissues. Now when we consider the first one, that is the tendons, alright. See, the tendons are strong inelastic structures. They are generally not elastic. All right, this is the first point. All right, and their role is to connect muscle to bone. All right, so the role of tendons is that they are very strong, inelastic, and they connect muscles to bone. All right, so this is about tendons, and they, as I said you, tendons are obvious that they have parallel bundles of collagen fibers as we discussed in the diagram just now. Okay, the second type of dense regular connective tissue we have is ligaments. See, these ligaments are the structures which connect bone to bone. They connect bone to bone. All right, they connect. That's why they are called as connective tissues. All right, they are dense regular connective tissues which connect bone to bone. All right, and let me tell you, these ligaments are made up of elastic fibers. All right, they provide very high elasticity. All right, and they have very few collagen fibers. All right, let me repeat, tendons have in them, all right, inelastic structures which are strong, all right, that join muscle to bone. All right, they consist of more of collagen fibers, and ligaments have very few collagen fibers and high number of, we can say, the elastic fibers. So this is about the dense regular connective tissues. And moving ahead, the second we have is dense irregular connective tissue. All right, so under regular, tendons and ligaments we have studied. Now under irregular, right, now let us discuss that these dense irregular connective tissues have fibers that are not arranged in, the fibers are not arranged in, they are not arranged in all right, they are not arranged in parallel bundles as we could see in the dense regular tissues. All right, so they are very irregularly arranged. Okay, let me represent the diagram so that you understand easily. See, now this is the matrix we have. Okay, so here we can find the fibers are irregularly distributed, as you can find here and there you can find. Okay, it is not exactly in the parallel manner. All right, and in between this you can find the fibroblast cells. All right, so this is what we can say the dense irregular tissue looks like. So these are irregular fibers, these are irregular fibers, and these are fibroblast cells. All right, so this is, all right, dense irregular connective tissue, all right, which looks as such. Okay, so the fibers are irregular, they are not arranged in the parallel bundles. Okay, so this is the diagram of the dense irregular connective tissues. All right, so let us also understand that where these tissues can be present. All right, see, this type of connective tissues can, all right, be present in the skin. All right, first, this is first, we can find it in the skin, and also secondly in the tough coverings of, all right, many important organs. All right, see, let us say for example in the kidneys or adrenal glands. Adrenal glands are present above the kidneys, so in the kidneys, adrenal glands, all right, we can find these dense irregular connective tissues. Okay, so dear students, the dense connective tissues are classified into two types. Okay, dense regular connective tissues. Dear students, so we have completed about the two types of connective tissues. The first, loose connective tissue, that is areolar and adipose, and dense connective tissues. Under dense the regular dense connective tissue and irregular dense connective tissue. So thirdly, we have specialized connective tissues. These specialized connective tissues. All right. So firstly, let me tell you that this type of tissue include skeletal tissues. It includes the skeletal tissues. That means the tissues which are associated with our skeleton. That is, it has cartilage and bone. All right, cartilage and bone. These are the two. All right, and other than that, we also have the fluid connective tissues. First, I told you skeletal connective tissues, then fluid connective tissues of our body. They are the body fluids. All right. So under this, let me tell you, dear students, that blood and lymph are included. All right. First is the blood and the second is the lymph. So cartilage and bone, that those are skeletal connective tissues, and secondly fluid connective tissues, which are blood and lymph. So 4 in total are included under the specialized connective tissues. All right. Now let us discuss about firstly the skeletal connective tissue. We have skeletal connective tissue. All right. See, when we talk about this type of connective tissue, let me tell you that its extracellular substance, ground substance, is solid. Extracellular means outside the cells of these connective tissues, the material we call the ground substance or the ground material, okay, which is solid in nature. Okay, it is very hard. First point. See, this is extracellular means, please remember students, that I am referring to outside the cell. Outside the cell, the area which is covered is solid in nature in case of skeletal connective tissues. And furthermore, these skeletal connective tissues, generally it forms the endoskeleton. Endoskeleton. All right. Endo here refers to inside. All right, our internal skeleton or endoskeleton, all right, of especially the vertebrates has the skeletal connective tissues. Remember the students. All right. And furthermore, let me tell you what is its role. See, it is important for providing the support to the body. This is the first point of the, I am talking about the skeletal connective tissue. This is the first point. Secondly, let me tell you, it also protects various organs. Protects, so we can say protection. Protection of various, especially organs, is the second important function of this skeletal connective tissues. All right. Thirdly, it is also important in locomotion. So rather we can say it helps in locomotion. So these are the 3 major functions which are performed by the skeletal connective tissues. Okay, those are the cartilage and the bone. Now let us discuss firstly about the cartilage. So we are going with the first one, that is the cartilage. So when we are talking about cartilage, let me tell you, dear students, that this tissue is generally elastic in nature. Okay, so high flexibility can be seen. That is the first point. Secondly, it is much harder when compared to the dense connective tissue. All right. When we consider the dense connective tissues, it is much harder than that. That is the tendons and ligaments when we consider. So these, now we are talking about the cartilage and the bone, which are the skeletal connective tissues under specialized connective tissue. So they are harder than the tendons and ligaments. This is the second point, rather we can remember, dear students. Okay, and but let me tell you, they are softer than bone. They cannot be stronger as the bone. All right. So they are very much softer when compared to the bone. All right. So thirdly, let me tell you that they are abundantly found in vertebrate embryos. Alright. So when I am referring to vertebrate embryos, let me tell you, most of the bones which are formed in the skeleton of adults are cartilaginous in the early stage. That is the embryonic stages. Almost 206 bones, rather humans have, for example. Those bones in the early stages, in the embryonic stages, will be cartilaginous in nature. Note this point, dear students. Alright. Then moving ahead, let me tell you that these cartilage, right, just can be present, in fact, distributed in the body of adult vertebrates. Dear students, next let us discuss about the structure of cartilage. It's a rather very simple structure. Okay, so this is the matrix of the cartilage. All right, and this matrix is considered as pliable. That means to say that as this matrix has more of, right, elastic fibers and collagen fibers, it is soft. All right, it is very much soft, as well as it is flexible. All right, it is highly flexible as well. Okay, soft and flexible nature of the matrix is called as pliable. All right, remember that point, dear students. Okay, and this matrix has the cells, all right, as you can find here. Okay, actually all right, the cells are present inside the fluid filled structures called as lacunae. So these are lacunae, and this is what we call it to as the chondrocyte. We call this as chondrocyte. All right, see what is chondrocyte here. Chondrocyte is a cartilage cell, all right, which is present inside the fluid filled structures called lacunae. All right, so that's very important to understand, dear students. And other than that, as I said you, they are distributed by fibers. All right, both cartilage fibers as well as elastic fibers can be present, distributed inside the matrix, okay, of the cartilage. Now let me repeat, dear students, that the matrix of this cartilage is pliable. I said you, pliable means it is soft and flexible. That means it can be easily bent. Cartilage can be easily bent. It resists compression. All right, it cannot be generally not so easy for it to be broken. All right, that's what we say, because of its flexibility, because of its bending ability. All right, why it is having this ability? Because it has, as I said you, elastic as well as the collagen fibers well distributed in the matrix. And in the matrix we can find the fluid filled structures called lacunae, and inside the lacunae the cartilage cells are present. Those are called as chondrocytes. All right, so this is the actual structure of what we can say the cartilage. All right, now moving ahead, let us also understand few important aspects about the cartilage. See, dear students, let me tell you that the matrix of this cartilage has glycoprotein material. It has glycoprotein material, all right, so which is called as chondroitin. All right, this is the first point you need to remember, dear students. All right, the matrix, what material it may possess, if the question can be asked. So it has chondroitin, which is nothing but it's a glycoprotein material. All right, I already have told you that the cells are called as chondrocytes, or you can also refer them to as chondroblasts. All right, children. Now furthermore, let me tell you that these structures, when we consider the chondrocytes, all right, they derive the nutrition by a process called as diffusion. That means movement of molecules from higher concentration to their lower concentration, through which the chondrocytes or the cells of the cartilage derive the nutrition. All right, this cartilage, they don't have the nerves. All right, they neither have the nerves, all right, nor the blood vessels. Alright, dear students, both are generally absent, okay, generally absent with respect to the cartilage. First is the cartilage cells are getting nutrition from diffusion. Second point is that they do not possess the nerves or the blood vessels. Alright. Furthermore, let me tell you that, cartilage grows and repairs very much slowly. All right, more slowly they repair and they grow. All right, when compared to the all the other connective tissues. And these cartilages are also, as they are connective tissues, already I have told you, connective tissues are derived from mesoderm, that is the primary germ layer called mesoderm, the middle primary germ layer. Almost all the connective tissues are derived from the middle primary germ layer called as mesoderm, and the same goes for cartilage, dear students. And furthermore, let me tell you that in certain vertebrates, let us say for example, we have sharks. All right, in case of sharks, the entire skeleton is rather, it is made up of cartilage. All right, this is one contrasting aspect which we can find in few vertebrates like sharks. The complete skeleton itself, their skeleton is made up of the cartilage, dear students. All right, then furthermore, see here, interesting to note one more point is that, these cartilage, as I said you before, in case of embryonic stages of, for example, most of the vertebrates including the human beings, will be cartilage. The skeleton will be cartilage, but later, all right, this cartilage genus structure, later it gives rise to the bones. All right, it is replaced by bones, forming the hard skeleton structure. Initially it will be soft, flexible. All right, that is what we use the term pliable, right, dear students. Okay, note this point. And coming to their location, where do we find this cartilage? See, in many places of our body, in many regions, we can find this cartilage. Okay, say for example, in surface, many bone surface we can find this cartilage. All right, where generally the attachment of bones occurs, generally there we can find this. Okay, we can find in the rib cage. All right, which covers the ribs. All right, the nose we can find. All right, the respiratory part. Ear we can find, in the ear we can find, as well as in the bronchial tubes. Bronchial tubes are present in the lungs, so we can find it even in the bronchial tubes as well. So further, all right, even in the vertebrates, between the vertebrates as well, we can find this cartilage. All right, dear students, so this is their location. Let me repeat. Okay, we can find on the surface of bones, generally where bones join, all right, with the other bones. In the rib cages we can find, nose, ear, as well as in the lungs. Okay, especially in the bronchial tubes we can find these structures, dear students. Now moving ahead, let us discuss about the types of cartilage. All right, types of cartilage. Say generally these types of cartilage is based on composition of matrix. All right, that means matrix, what, all right, components it has, based on that, all right, generally it is classified, okay, into two types. The first one is we have hyaline cartilage, all right, and the second type we have here is fibrous cartilage. All right, there are two types. One is hyaline cartilage and the second one is fibrous cartilage. Dear students, fibrous cartilage can also be called to as fibrocartilage. It can also be referred to as fibrocartilage. All right, let me repeat. There are two types of cartilage based on the composition or the materials which are present in the matrix of this cartilage. The first one is hyaline cartilage and the second one we have is fibrous cartilage or the fibrocartilage. Now let us discuss the first hyaline cartilage. So when we consider this hyaline cartilage, let me tell you, dear students, that it is present generally in the pectoral girdle. That means the joining of the forelimbs with the body, all right, where it has a structure, all right, called as pectoral girdle. It's a important structure. There we can find the hyaline cartilage in the sternum, all right, or we can say the bone which is present what I can say in between the lungs towards left and right lungs, which join, all right, generally to the sternum, the two ribs, all right, what we call. Anyway, just remember, at the thoracic cavity we have the strong bone called the sternum, to which the ribs attach. Okay, so there also we can find, and we can also find them in larynx, all right, or we can say generally as laryngeal walls, all right, of larynx we can find them, all right. To go with that, even in the ends of bones, both, ends of bones of both, we can say forelimbs as well as the hind limbs, we can find this type of hyaline cartilage, all right, dear students. Okay, now let me tell you a few important aspects about the hyaline cartilage. See, hyaline cartilage, when we consider, it also has, see, it is similar here. Okay, so the matrix, okay, at the top of the matrix there is a covering called perichondrium. We have a covering called perichondrium. This is the first aspect, all right. Then secondly, all right, the matrix is present which has fibers in them, all right, and the lacunae are present. Inside the lacunae we have the cells, chondrocytes or the cells. See, lacunae many are present, all right. Inside them we can see the cartilage cells or the chondrocytes, all right. So these are lacunae, and inside the lacunae the cells which we can find are the chondrocytes. So note this. Okay, this is what you can find. These cells are highly distributed, all right. So this is what the hyaline cartilage also looks like. Coming to the functions of hyaline cartilage, let me tell you, dear students, that it performs 4 major functions. First function, let me tell you, it reduces friction at joints. Reduces friction at joints, because during the bone movement, if there is friction, the bones may get damaged, right? So to avoid that, this cartilage in fact gives the or facilitates the proper bone movement by reducing the friction in the joints. So that is the first point. Second point we have here is movement, all right. In what way they help in movement, all right? See, I have already told you that hyaline cartilage joins bones very firmly, right, dear students, all right. So there little bit, certain amount, we can say at least certain amount of movement it helps in, all right, because hyaline cartilage joins bones together very firmly. So because of the same reason, at least some or certain movement it helps in. Okay, this is the second major function. Moving to the third function we have here is support, all right, the third important function. So support, in what way it gives and where we can find the support here. Okay, see, in the trachea as well as in the bronchi of lungs, all right. Trachea, the esophageal ring we can find, and then the bronchi, a part of the lungs, all right. So they provide support, all right, by cartilaginous rings. They have cartilaginous rings in the trachea and bronchi. Alright. So that's what. Through these cartilaginous rings, they provide support to the trachea and bronchi. And fourth function is that they help in growth. So I've already told you, especially the growth of longitudinal bones, the long bones which are present in the neck region generally. All right. So the hyaline cartilage provides for growth. All right. So four functions: it reduces friction at joints, it helps in movement, it helps in support, and also it helps in growth. So this is about the hyaline cartilage. Next, dear students, moving on to the next important concept, that is the fibrous cartilage. Here, fibrous cartilage is also called as I said you, fibrocartilage. Alright. So it's very important to note that this is the second type of cartilage. The first one, based on the composition of matrix, we had hyaline cartilage. So this is the second type of cartilage. Okay. So this in their matrix consists of abundant fibers. That means more and more amount of flexibility can be seen because of the presence of what? Fibers. Alright. And furthermore, let me tell you, it has great compression ability. That means it can be compressed very high levels because of the presence of abundant fibers. Again, this fibrous cartilage have two types. Okay, fibrous cartilage is divided into white fibrous cartilage, and secondly we have yellow elastic cartilage. Alright, there are two types of fibrous cartilage, that is white fibrous cartilage, and the second one we have is yellow elastic cartilage. This white fibrous cartilage can be seen occurring in intervertebral discs. First point, we can find them in intervertebral discs. Alright, that means in between the vertebrae we can find them, that is they have discs. So in those discs we can find the white fibro cartilage. Then also we can find them in the glenoid cavity. So where is glenoid cavity present? See, this glenoid cavity can be present in the shoulder joint. In the shoulder joint we have a glenoid cavity. There also we could find the white fibro cartilage, dear students. Alright, so remember this. Okay, firstly, white fibro cartilage can be present in the intervertebral discs. First point, they can also be present in the glenoid cavity of shoulder joint. Okay, so they have numerous functions. Let us understand few important functions of the white fibro cartilage. They help in shock absorption. Alright, so what do we mean by that? Especially, as I said you, they are present in the intervertebral disc. Okay, so there in between the vertebrae, vertebral bones, alright, the shocks will be absorbed. Alright, so which helps to avoid the damage of the bones. Generally when we walk or run, alright, so the movement of these bones is also seen, during which there will be more friction, alright, between the intervertebral discs. So as these white fibrocartilage is present there, so they help in shock absorption. Second point, let us discuss about the second function, that is it deepens the sockets. Alright, so what do we mean by this? See, sockets means here generally I am referring it to the articular cavities. That means in the joints, especially there are joints called ball and socket joints. Okay, so where do we find these ball and socket joints? We find them in the hip and the shoulder regions. Alright, ball and socket joints can be seen in the hip as well as in the shoulder region. So it helps in avoiding the dislocation of these joints because the sockets are deeply placed, all right, because of this presence of cartilage. So this is the second function of the white fibrocartilage. Thirdly, it helps in parturition. Parturition here is a scientific term for referring it to delivery of the baby. Delivery of the baby. Alright. So in what way it helps in delivery of the baby? See, as white fibrocartilage, right? It is present between two pubic bones of the pelvis. In pelvis, in the abdominal region we have. So there we have this, white fibrocartilage. So this helps in parturition without damaging the pelvic girdle. Are you getting my point? Without damaging the pelvic girdle. Alright, pelvic girdle is the connection of the hind limbs with the body. Alright, so it avoids this damage because of the presence of this white fibro cartilage. Then fourth function of this is it provides greater tensile strength, alright, to withstand greater tensile strength. That means to say, it helps in providing the high support to the body during lift, when some weight is lifted, all right, or when there is more flexibility, all right. So the proper movement of the body parts needs to occur, all right. So those movements, all right, and the strength which is needed for that, generally we refer that as tensile strength, all right. So is also provided by this. Okay, so these are few important aspects which you need to remember with respect to the first type of the fibrocartilage, that is white fibrocartilage. Secondly, we have yellow fibrocartilage. Sorry, not fibroelastic. Yellow elastic cartilage. Dear students, let me first and foremost let me tell you that the word itself, it is referring to elastic, all right. So it is highly elastic in nature, highly flexible it is. Okay, so because let me tell you, it has of course very high fibers. Okay, see, as we can find in the external ear, right, the external ear is highly elastic because of the presence of the type of fibrocartilage called yellow elastic cartilage. And also we can find this yellow elastic cartilage in the auditory canal of ear. Auditory canal of ear, there also high elasticity can be seen. In the same manner, even eustachian tube of the ear as well, we can find this type of cartilage, all right. We can also find them in the epiglottis, right children? Okay, so to go with that, even in few regions of larynx, the voice box, what we call, all right, we can find this cartilage, as well as in the tip of the nose. Okay, so these are few important, in fact, locations where we can find the yellow elastic cartilage, that is in the external ear, auditory canal of the ear, eustachian tube, epiglottis, larynx and tip of the nose. The function of this is generally protection. They provide protection, all right, in various manners. So protective, they are protective in function. So this completes the cartilage. Dear students, till now we have completed under specialized connective tissues. See, we under specialized connective tissues we have discussed about the first skeletal connective tissue, first type of skeletal connective tissue, that is the cartilage, all right. So next let us go on to the second type of skeletal connective tissue under specialized connective tissue, that is the bone, right. So now when we consider the bone, all right, bone is the one of the hardest tissues in the body, all right. It is the hardest tissue which is present in the body, all right. The first point. And secondly, let me tell you, bone, in fact bone tissue rather we can say, occurs in different bones of our skeleton, all right. So when we consider our skeleton, all right, the bone tissue, all right, is can be present well distributed, all right. So rather we can say they form our endoskeleton. See, endoskeleton, when I say, our internal framework, all right, of the body is through endoskeleton, all right. We have so many number of bones, all right. See, in case of human beings, we have 206 bones which are divided into axial skeleton and appendicular skeleton, all right. So the endoskeleton is made up of the bone tissue, all right. And not only the endoskeleton of humans, all right, the endoskeleton of bony fishes. See, there are two types of fishes, as I said you, like for example we discussed about shark is completely having cartilage in its body as the skeleton, but here bony fishes endoskeleton is made up of bone tissue, as well as in tetrapods, that is we have amphibians like frogs for example, we have the endoskeleton as bone tissue. The same goes for reptiles, birds and mammals, all right. Reptiles, birds as well as mammals, we can find the bone tissue as their endoskeleton, dear students. Now let me tell you a few important aspects about the bone. When we consider the bone, it is hard, very much hard, it is very rigid or tough, okay, and it is solid, correct, and generally it is inflexible, it cannot be folded, all right, it cannot be bent, that's why it is called as inflexible, all right. So now furthermore, let me tell you that the matrix of bone, when you consider the matrix of bone, is rather very hard, it is, all right, very hard. Why it is very hard? See, it is very hard and also it is non-pliable. See, we had discussed the word pliable when we were talking about cartilage, all right, the first type of skeletal connective tissue under specialized connective tissues, right. So non-pliable here refers to the tissue which is not flexible, which cannot be bent and which is hard, all right. So the bone tissue here is non-pliable, it is very hard, all right. And here it has the presence of many cells, all right, well distributed with cells, all right. Now let me tell you that we have in the cells, all right, or rather we can say in the ground substance, all right, of this tissue is formed of majorly calcium phosphate and calcium carbonate as the major calcium components, all right, calcium phosphate and calcium carbonate. It is the ground substance, or it is the ground substance, or in rather in to make you understand, we can say also as the matrix, all right. So these cells, the bone cells, what we call it to as the osteocytes, all right, we call the bone cells as osteocytes, or you can also call the bone cells as osteoblasts. So these cells, all right, matrix, all right, the space inside the cells is made up of, all right, majorly the calcium components called calcium phosphate and calcium carbonate, that is the calcium components, and it also has many proteins. The cells possess many proteins in them, all right, like they have ossin, all right, and also collagen fibers, all right. Now the calcium salts, what we discussed, the calcium phosphate and calcium carbonate, to go with the calcium fibers, gives high strength to the bone. Next, further moving ahead, let me tell you that the solid matrix of the bone. Alright, when I say solid matrix, why I am saying first of all the solid matrix? Because it is made up of the calcium components, that is the calcium phosphate, calcium carbonate, and also certain proteins like osin and the collagen fibers. Alright, they all give the rigidity, the solid nature to the bones. Alright, in this solid matrix we can find certain longitudinal canals. Longitudinal canals. Alright, these longitudinal canals are called Haversian canals, dear students. We call them as Haversian canals. Okay. Now, when we talk about the Haversian canals, let me tell you, when we talk about the Haversian canals, they possess, alright, artery, alright, that is a blood vessel, and they also have a vein, alright, which is also a blood vessel. They also have a lymph vessel, alright, in them. To go with that, they also have a nerve, okay, and some bone cells are also present in the Haversian canal. Okay, so artery, a vein, a lymph vessel, a nerve, and certain bone cells are present in the solid matrix having the Haversian canals. Now, dear students, see, just let me represent in a rough manner the Haversian canal. Okay, see, it is longitudinally arranged. Roughly, it looks as such. Okay, the Haversian canals look like this. Okay, at the center they have a nerve. At the center they have a nerve. All right. Then see, they have like this many structures, right? They are called as canaliculi. Canaliculi we call. Okay, they have nerve and they have canaliculi. Okay, then dear students, I said they also have arteries. So this is the artery. All right, this is the artery. All right, and they have vein as well. Okay, so this is the vein. All right, and also said they have the bone cells, correct? See, they are called as what? See, these are generally, you can make it dark, generally it looks like this. Okay, all these are called as the lacuna with osteocyte. Okay, lacuna we studied also with respect to cartilage, wherein fluid filled structure called lacuna. Inside that, the cartilage cells called chondroblasts were present. This is the lacuna. This is the lacuna. In the lacuna we can find the bone cells. The bone cells are called as osteocytes or osteoblasts also we can say, dear students. All right. Okay, just let me represent here. Okay, the bone cells are also referred to as, all right, osteocytes, or we can also call them to as osteoblasts. All right, remember this. Okay, so this is about the Haversian canals, which can be found longitudinally distributed, all right, in the solid matrix of bones. Further, it is also important to know that in the long bones, all right, for example, not only in the long bones and most of the bones of our body, okay, in the skull bones, all right, in the long bones like which are present in our forelimbs and hind limbs, all right, in the sternum, that is the bone, the solid bone present at the center of the thoracic region, all right, to which the ribs attach, all right, all these regions, dear students, have bone marrow cavity. They possess bone marrow cavity. This bone marrow cavity is having, or it is constituted by the bone marrow. See, bone marrow is nothing but it's a fatty tissue, alright. And this bone marrow is essential for the formation of, see, when we talk about the bone marrow which is present in the bone marrow cavity of bones, alright. This bone marrow, it is the site. It is the site for the production of RBCs or the red blood cells and WBCs, white blood cells, okay, as well as the platelets. Are you getting my point, children? Okay, so RBCs, WBCs and platelets, almost all the blood cells are formed in the fatty tissue which is present in the bone marrow cavity of bones called as bone marrow. Alright, so this is very important for us to understand. Dear students, next let us understand the functions of bone tissue. Functions of bone tissue. Alright, so the first function we have is that of support. So in what way it provides the support? Alright, as I already told you that our skeleton itself is composed of the bone tissue. Alright, it provides firstly the shape and also secondly the rigidity to the body. Alright, so and also it is important for the attachment of muscles, skeletal muscles. If they have to attach, alright, the support is needed, so that is in the form of bone tissue. So that is the first function. So moving on to the second function, we have locomotion and movement. Locomotion and movement. So here let me tell you, dear students, that the bone tissue, when it is attached with the muscles, alright. So muscles, when they contract, alright, especially the voluntary muscles of our limbs, the hands and the legs, right. So the movement is produced as well as the locomotion. Locomotion as well as movement can be through with the help of bone tissue. Thirdly, it helps in protection. In what way it helps in protection? See, it protects many internal organs, such as, like, for example, say it protects the brain, alright, because the skull, alright, which is made up of bone tissue, correct, as well as the spinal cord. There also we have the vertebral bones, right. Then, alright, this brain and spinal cord is avoided from injury as well because of the protection which is provided by the bone tissue. In addition to this, alright, bone tissue can also be seen protecting the heart, lungs, kidney, alright, and reproductive organs, at least to some degree, alright, not majorly, but at least to some degree they give protection to the heart, lungs, kidney as well as the reproductive organs, alright. I remember, I am not talking here majorly, alright, to some degree, only to some degree they give protection to these organs, right. So this is the protective function. Then moving on with the fourth function, that is it performs mineral homeostasis. It performs mineral homeostasis. So what do we mean by this? Okay, so this is nothing but, I have already told you that bone tissue stores number of minerals, that is especially the bone is rich with the calcium and also the phosphorus, and the bone tissue especially, it is under the control of endocrine system. So bone releases minerals, alright, bone releases these calcium and phosphorus minerals, alright, into the blood, alright, or even let me say that it stores the minerals in the bone matrix, alright. So to maintain the mineral balance, the major function is that from the bone to the blood the minerals are transported, alright, dear student, that is calcium and phosphorus. So that's also very important. Functioning of blood also it brings about. Next function it has is blood cell production. All right. So see, the process of the blood cell production in our body, all right, by the bone marrow cells especially, are called as what? Hematopoiesis. All right. So this is an important process, all right, which occurs in the bones. All right. So that is also one of the important function of the bone tissues. All right. Then the sixth, let me tell you, the bone tissues also help in storage of energy. All right. See, in many bones, like for example yellow bone marrow, it stores lipids. All right. So lipids are energy reserves for the body. Whenever our body requires energy, it can be definitely released through this yellow bone marrow. Okay. So anyway, so these are few important functions performed by the bone tissue which we need to consider. Okay. So this completes the bone tissue. Thank you very much.